Two people can earn the same income and live completely different financial lives. One lies awake at night calculating bills, worrying about the next recession, checking investment apps every hour. The other sleeps peacefully, even though their bank account is not dramatically larger. The difference is not math, it is psychology, and sometimes it is culture. In 1997, Thailand became the epicenter of what the world would later call the Asian financial crisis. The Thai baht collapsed. Businesses that looked strong on paper fell apart almost overnight. Families who believed growth would continue forever suddenly faced uncertainty they had never imagined. If stability were purely mathematical, those who understood numbers should have been safe. Many were not. Because stability is rarely about intelligence, it is about temperament. But after the crisis, something subtle shifted in Thailand. There was a renewed interest in an idea that King Bhumibol Adulyadej had long promoted, what he called the Sufficiency Economy. It was not anti-growth, it was not anti-ambition. It was a philosophy centered on moderation, resilience, and self-immunity against shocks. In simple terms, do not build your life at the edge of what you can barely sustain. That idea is psychological before it is financial. In Bangkok, you can meet entrepreneurs who have grown businesses over decades, not years. You'll find family-owned shops that survived wars, political shifts, currency crises, and global downturns, not because they expanded aggressively, but because they expanded carefully. You'll hear a common phrase in Thai culture: Jai yen, a cool heart. Stay calm, do not react too quickly, and do not let emotion drive the moment. This is not just social etiquette, it is financial wisdom. In much of the modern world, especially in fast-moving economies like the United States, financial conversations are dominated by speed. Faster growth, faster returns, early retirement, rapid scaling. There is constant comparison, constant visibility, constant measurement. And yet, many people who are objectively successful still feel unstable. Why? Because financial stability is not built by maximizing returns. It is built by minimizing fragility. The quiet psychology behind stability is rarely discussed because it is not dramatic. It does not produce viral headlines. It does not promise overnight transformation. It speaks instead about margins, patience, community, and emotional regulation. And it asks uncomfortable questions. How much is enough? How much risk can you truly tolerate? Do you want maximum growth or maximum sleep? Throughout this audiobook, we will explore the psychological foundations of financial stability through both universal principles and cultural lessons, especially from Thailand's historical experiences, its business families, and its response to crisis. We will look at how overconfidence led to collapse in 1997, how moderation became a national conversation afterward, how multi-generational companies like CP Group expanded patiently across decades, how the concept of Jai yen mirrors what modern behavioral finance now recognizes. Emotional control matters more than intelligence. But this is not about copying Thailand. It is about understanding something deeper. Stability is rarely about how much you earn. It is about how much uncertainty your mind can handle. Two households may both have mortgages, investments, retirement accounts, and credit cards. One constantly feels on edge. The other feels prepared. The numbers may not be wildly different. The psychology is. Financial stability is a quiet skill. It is not loud. It does not show off. It does not demand attention. And it is built in small decisions. Choosing not to overextend. Choosing not to chase every opportunity. Choosing to build a margin instead of a maximum. In a world obsessed with optimization, stability often looks boring, but boring is often resilient. This audiobook is not about getting rich quickly. It is about understanding why some people remain steady through cycles, downturns, and volatility, while others, equally intelligent and hardworking, constantly feel one step away from stress. Because money is never just money. It is memory, it is fear, it is pride, it is comparison, it is culture. And until we understand the psychology beneath it, no strategy will ever feel secure. Financial stability begins long before spreadsheets and investment portfolios. It begins in the mind, and sometimes in the quiet lessons of history. Let's begin. Chapter 1. Stability is cultural, before it is personal. When we talk about financial stability, we often frame it as a personal achievement. We assume it depends on discipline, intelligence, strategy, or income level. We treat it as something individual, something you either figure out on your own or fail to. But stability is cultural before it is personal. Long before you opened your first bank account, long before you invested in a retirement fund or worried about a mortgage rate, you absorbed invisible messages about money. You learned how people around you reacted to loss. You noticed whether money was discussed calmly or with tension. You watched how adults handled uncertainty. And those early impressions quietly became your financial instincts. In Thailand, cultural conditioning around money has historically emphasized moderation, community, and emotional composure. This is deeply influenced by Theravada Buddhism, which shapes much of Thai social philosophy. At its core is the idea of the middle way, avoiding extremes of indulgence and deprivation. That principle extends far beyond religion. It shows up in business, it shows up in saving, it shows up in how success is displayed or not displayed. In many Thai households, wealth is not primarily framed as status. It is framed as security. Not maximum gain, but durable sufficiency. That difference matters. In highly competitive, individualistic economies, such as the United States, financial messaging often centers around acceleration. Earn more, invest earlier, retire sooner, scale faster, optimize everything. This environment can produce extraordinary growth. It can also produce chronic tension. And when speed becomes the norm, stability feels slow. When comparison becomes constant, contentment feels suspicious. When everyone is sharing their wins, ordinary progress feels inadequate. Cultural narratives shape what we consider normal, and normal influences our stress thresholds. In Thailand, after the economic boom years of the late 1980s and early 1990s, growth felt unstoppable. Credit expanded rapidly. Foreign capital poured in. Real estate surged. Optimism was widespread. Then, in 1997, it collapsed. The Thai baht was forced to float. The currency plunged. Property markets froze. Companies that had borrowed aggressively in foreign currencies suddenly faced crushing debt. For many families, the lesson was not just financial. It was psychological. Growth without margin is fragile. The aftermath of that crisis reinforced cultural tendencies toward caution and moderation. The philosophy of sufficiency economy, promoted for years by King Bhumibol, gained renewed attention. It emphasized reasonableness, risk awareness, and building buffers against volatility. It did not reject ambition, it rejected overextension. This is where culture and psychology intersect. If you grow up in an environment that normalizes debt-fueled expansion, risk feels ordinary. If you grow up in an environment that highlights the consequences of collapse, risk feels heavier. Neither response is purely rational. Both are emotional patterns shaped by shared memory. And those patterns become personal reflexes. Consider two professionals in their 30s, one in Bangkok, one in Chicago. Both earn solid incomes. They both have access to investment platforms, real estate opportunities, and business ventures. The Chicago professional may feel pressure to maximize, to stretch into a larger home, to leverage investments, to accelerate retirement goals. The environment encourages it. social comparison reinforces it. The Bangkok professional, shaped by stories of 1997 told by parents or grandparents, may instinctively prioritize liquidity and flexibility, not because of spreadsheets, but because of inherited caution. Neither is automatically right or wrong, but one may sleep more easily. Financial stability often reflects collective memory. In Thailand, the concept of Jai Yen, a cool heart, extends beyond manners. It reflects an approach to life. React less. Pause before escalating. Do not let heat guide your decisions. Applied to money, Jai Yen becomes emotional risk management. When markets surge, stay measured. When markets fall, stay composed. When others panic, slow down. Modern behavioral finance now confirms what cultural traditions long practiced. Emotional volatility damages financial outcomes. Overtrading, panic selling, speculative bubbles. These are psychological phenomena before they are mathematical ones. Cultural norms that reward composure indirectly protect financial stability. This does not mean Thailand is immune to financial stress. No country is. It does not mean all Thai individuals practice moderation. Many do not. But cultural values create baseline tendencies, and baseline tendencies matter over decades. If your environment teaches that success must be visible, you may unconsciously equate stability with appearance. If your environment teaches that stability is quiet, you may invest more in durability than display. The key insight here is not about geography. It is about awareness. You inherited a money culture, whether you recognize it or not. It may have come from family conversations, national history, media narratives, or economic events that shaped your community. Understanding your financial psychology begins with understanding that inheritance. Ask yourself, when you think about money, do you feel urgency or patience? Do you associate growth with safety or with risk? Do you feel calm holding cash or anxious that you are missing out? Do you equate expansion with success or resilience with success? These are not purely logical preferences. They are cultural echoes. Financial stability becomes personal only after you become conscious of the culture inside you. Because once you see it, you can choose. You can adopt ambition without recklessness. You can pursue growth without fragility. You can build wealth without building constant stress. And perhaps most importantly, you can define stability on your own terms, rather than inheriting it unconsciously. Stability is not just an account balance, it is a relationship with uncertainty. And that relationship is shaped long before you ever realize it. Understanding this is the first quiet step toward financial calm. In the next chapter, we will go deeper into how individual childhood experiences, family behavior, and early money memories transform cultural patterns into personal habits that follow us for life. Chapter 2. Your financial behavior was shaped long before you knew it. Before you ever chose an investment strategy, you chose something else without realizing it. You chose how money feels. For many people, money feels tight. For others, it feels fleeting. For some, it feels heavy with responsibility. For others, it feels like freedom. These feelings rarely begin in adulthood. They begin in childhood. In Thailand, as in many cultures, money conversations often happen indirectly. Children observe more than they are told. They notice whether parents argue about bills. They sense tension when business is slow. They see whether generosity is practiced openly or cautiously. They learn whether debt is normal or avoided. These early impressions form emotional blueprints. A child who grows up hearing stories about the 1997 crisis may internalize one lesson: things can collapse quickly. That child may grow into an adult who instinctively keeps larger cash reserves, avoids excessive leverage, and hesitates before expanding too quickly. Another child, raised during boom years, may internalize a different lesson. Growth is constant. Opportunity is everywhere. Risk feels exciting rather than dangerous. Neither child studied finance at age 8, but both absorbed a psychological framework. In the United States, many adults today carry emotional imprints from the 2008 financial crisis. Some watched parents lose homes. Others saw retirement accounts shrink dramatically. Some families tightened spending overnight. Years later, those experiences quietly shape behavior. And you may avoid the stock market entirely, not because of current data, but because of a memory of fear. Or you may overinvest aggressively to make up for lost time. Or you may distrust banks, corporations, or institutions. Your financial decisions often make sense to your history, even when they appear irrational on paper. That is the key insight. People rarely behave randomly with money. They behave consistently with their past. In Thailand, multi-generational business families often pass down more than assets. They pass down stories of surviving downturns, stories of slow rebuilding, stories of caution. Consider a small family-owned shop in Bangkok that survived both political unrest and economic crisis. And the children who grew up in that environment likely heard phrases like, "Keep some extra," "Don't expand too fast," "Be careful with debt." Those phrases become internal rules. Later in life, when opportunity appears, perhaps a chance to borrow heavily to scale quickly, those early warnings activate. Sometimes that caution limits growth. Sometimes it preserves survival. Psychology is rarely about extremes. It is about tendencies. In Western financial culture, especially in high-growth environments, children may instead absorb different narratives. You have to take risks. Fortune favors the bold. If you don't move fast, someone else will. These narratives are not inherently wrong. Many breakthroughs require courage and expansion, but expansion without emotional awareness often leads to instability. The quiet psychology behind financial stability is not about avoiding ambition, so it is about understanding your triggers. Ask yourself, when markets rise rapidly, do you feel pressure to join? When friends talk about new investments, do you feel behind? When savings accumulate, do you feel secure or restless? These emotional reactions often trace back to early experiences. In Thailand, the cultural concept of moderation aligns with Buddhist teachings about desire. Excessive craving leads to suffering. While modern Thailand is highly commercial and dynamic, the underlying cultural current still carries that idea. Desire must be managed. Financial instability often arises when desire outruns emotional capacity. For example, a professional in their 40s may earn enough to live comfortably. But if their internal narrative equates self-worth with visible success, they may stretch into a home or lifestyle that exceeds their emotional tolerance for risk. On paper, the numbers might work. Emotionally, the margin feels thin. Thin margins create anxiety, and anxiety erodes stability long before insolvency ever appears. This is why two households with identical incomes can experience entirely different levels of stress. One feels anchored, the other feels constantly exposed. It is not the spreadsheet, it is the nervous system. Thai cultural values often emphasize community and interdependence. Extended family networks can act as informal safety nets. This reduces psychological pressure to solve everything alone. Even when financial strain exists, shared responsibility diffuses fear. In highly individualistic societies, the burden often feels solitary. If something fails, it feels personal. That intensifies emotional stakes. Again, this is not about one culture being superior. It is about recognizing that stability emerges from both numbers and narratives. If your childhood environment normalized financial tension, you may unconsciously recreate it, even at higher income levels. If you grew up seeing steady, conservative growth, you may gravitate toward similar patterns. Understanding your early conditioning allows you to pause before reacting automatically. Instead of asking, "What's the best investment?" you might first ask, "Why does this opportunity make me feel this way?" Instead of chasing maximum returns, you might ask, "What level of volatility can I emotionally tolerate without losing sleep?" Instead of copying someone else's financial plan, you might ask, "What kind of financial environment helps me feel steady?" The Thai lesson here is subtle, and after experiencing volatility, the national conversation shifted toward resilience. That shift was not purely economic, it was psychological. Resilience became a shared aspiration. You can create that shift personally. You can examine the stories you inherited about money. You can identify which ones still serve you. You can gently release those that create unnecessary tension. Financial stability is not achieved by copying someone else's blueprint. It is achieved by aligning your financial structure with your emotional capacity. And emotional capacity is shaped early. In the next chapter, we will explore why intelligence alone is rarely enough, and why temperament, more than IQ, often determines who remains steady over decades and who cycles through repeated instability. Chapter 3. Why intelligence doesn't guarantee stability. It is comforting to believe that financial stability belongs to the intelligent, that if you understand economics, follow markets, read books, analyze trends, and calculate carefully, stability will follow. But history tells a different story. Some of the most educated investors in Thailand were deeply exposed in 1997. Many had advanced degrees. Many understood macroeconomics. Many could explain currency pegs and capital flows. Yet when confidence cracked, leverage magnified losses. Intelligence did not immunize them against panic or overconfidence, because financial instability rarely begins with ignorance. It often begins with certainty. Intelligence can solve complex problems, but it cannot remove emotion, and emotion is what destabilizes decisions. Modern behavioral finance confirms what lived experience has shown for decades: overconfidence, herd behavior, fear of missing out, and loss aversion drive financial mistakes far more often than lack of knowledge. In Thailand's pre-1997 boom, growth felt unstoppable. Property values rose, credit expanded, and foreign capital flowed in aggressively. The belief that this time is different quietly spread. Highly educated professionals borrowed in foreign currencies because interest rates were attractive. Real estate developers expanded rapidly because demand appeared endless. On paper, models justified the expansion. Emotionally, optimism drowned out caution. That is the danger of intelligence without humility. Thai business culture after the crisis became more restrained. Not because people suddenly became less intelligent, but because collective memory adjusted temperament. Temperament is the ability to regulate emotion under uncertainty. It is the capacity to remain measured when others accelerate, to remain calm when others panic, to remain patient when others rush. Temperament protects stability. In many Western environments, financial success is often associated with boldness. Risk-taking is admired. Aggression is rewarded. Move fast is praised. But boldness without emotional discipline frequently turns into volatility. Consider two investors with identical portfolios. When markets rise 20%, both feel confident. When markets drop 20%, one reviews long-term strategy calmly. The other checks prices constantly, feels rising anxiety, and considers selling to stop the bleeding. The difference is not knowledge. It is emotional tolerance. Thai cultural concepts like Jai Yen, keeping a cool heart, mirror what psychologists call emotional regulation. It is the ability to slow down reactive impulses. When someone in Thailand says, "Jai yen yen," they are not dismissing urgency. They are recommending composure. In financial terms, composure creates margin. Margin is not just savings, it is psychological distance from panic. Intelligence often pushes people toward complexity. More strategies, more optimization, more leverage, more analysis. Temperament often pulls people towards simplicity. Simplicity is underrated. A business family in Thailand that expands gradually over 30 years may not appear as dramatic as a startup that scales explosively in 5. But slow compounding often produces something more valuable than speed: durability. Durability requires emotional restraint. Intelligent individuals sometimes underestimate risk precisely because they understand so much. They believe they can calculate their way out of trouble. They trust their models. They assume their insight gives them control. But financial markets, economic cycles, and geopolitical shifts rarely obey models perfectly. The stability requires accepting uncertainty, not mastering it. This is why some people with average knowledge but strong emotional discipline accumulate wealth steadily over decades, while highly analytical individuals cycle between gains and losses. Knowledge tells you what could happen. Temperament determines how you respond when it does. The Thai lesson after 1997 was not "be less ambitious." It was "be less fragile." Fragility is emotional as much as financial. A fragile investor cannot tolerate volatility. A fragile entrepreneur cannot tolerate slow growth. A fragile household cannot tolerate unexpected expenses. Building stability means strengthening both balance sheets and nerves. In practical terms, this may mean choosing a level of risk you can hold through downturns, avoiding debt structures that keep you awake at night, and resisting opportunities that feel exciting but exceed your comfort threshold. Designing financial systems that match your personality. There is no universal risk tolerance, but there is a universal truth. If you build a strategy that overwhelms your temperament, you will eventually abandon it. Thai multi-generational companies often reflect this understanding. Groups like CP did not expand recklessly after the crisis. They diversified carefully, structured ownership thoughtfully, and maintained long-term perspectives. Their growth was not dramatic year by year, but it was consistent. Consistency is psychological. It requires resisting comparison. In today's world, especially with constant social media exposure, comparison amplifies instability. You may see others reporting rapid gains and feel pressure to adjust your strategy impulsively. Intelligence might rationalize the shift. Temperament pauses. Financial stability thrives in pauses: a pause before increasing leverage, a pause before chasing a trend, a pause before reacting to headlines. Intelligence fills space with analysis. Temperament fills space with restraint. The quiet psychology behind financial stability suggests that your long-term outcome depends less on how much you know and more on how well you manage yourself. You do not need to be the smartest investor in the room. You need to be the calmest during uncertainty. As we move forward, we will explore another destabilizing force that tests temperament constantly: fear. Because fear, more than ignorance, often drives the decisions that quietly erode financial stability over time. Chapter 4. The hidden role of fear in financial decisions. Fear rarely announces itself. It does not walk into your financial life and say, "I am about to distort your judgment." It feels reasonable, protective, even intelligent. But fear is one of the strongest forces behind financial instability. In Thailand, the memory of the 1997 crisis did not disappear when markets recovered. It lingered in subtle ways. Older generations spoke about businesses that collapsed, properties that were lost, and families that had to start over. For some, that memory created caution. For others, it created a different reaction, a determination to never feel powerless again. Fear can push in two opposite directions. It can make you too conservative, or it can make you overcompensate. In highly competitive economies, fear often disguises itself as ambition, a fear of being left behind, fear of not earning enough, fear of looking unsuccessful, fear of missing out. These fears drive behavior that appears rational but is emotionally charged. Consider the concept of FOMO, fear of missing out. It is not a modern invention, but social media and real-time market access amplify it. When friends post about stock gains, crypto profits, or business success, it triggers comparison. Comparison triggers anxiety. Anxiety triggers urgency. Urgency reduces patience. Reduced patience weakens stability. Thailand's cultural emphasis on Jai Yen, keeping a cool heart, acts as a counterbalance to this urgency. In moments of tension, slowing down is considered strength, not weakness. In financial terms, slowing down interrupts fear. When markets decline sharply, fear tells you to sell to stop pain. And when markets rise sharply, fear tells you to buy before it is too late. Both reactions feel protective, but both can erode stability. Fear narrows your time horizon. Long-term plans suddenly feel distant. Short-term discomfort feels unbearable. Stability requires expanding your time horizon even when emotions contract it. After the 1997 crisis, many Thai businesses became more sensitive to debt exposure. Fear of another collapse influenced borrowing decisions for years. Some businesses refused to expand even when opportunities were favorable. Fear can protect, but it can also paralyze. Financial stability is not the absence of fear. It is the management of it. In the United States, the 2008 financial crisis created similar patterns. Some households became permanently cautious, avoiding equity markets entirely. Others reacted by taking aggressive risks later to recover lost time. Both responses were rooted in fear. Fear of loss. Fear of regret. Regret is another destabilizing emotion. The fear of future regret can push you into decisions that feel urgent but lack alignment with your true tolerance. For example, you may increase risk not because your financial plan requires it, but because you fear looking back and thinking, "I should have done more." That kind of fear is subtle. It does not appear reckless. It appears motivated. But stability rarely grows from pressure. Thai cultural resilience after economic crisis emphasized diversification, modest expansion, and steady savings. These behaviors reduced exposure to extreme outcomes. Extreme outcomes often result from extreme emotion. Fear also shows up in everyday household decisions. You may overwork because you fear instability. You may overinvest because you fear inflation. You may overspend because you fear appearing inadequate. Each of these reactions can weaken the very stability you seek. The irony of fear is this. In trying to eliminate uncertainty, it often increases it. The antidote is not denial. It is awareness. When you feel urgency in financial decisions, pause and ask, is this strategy-driven or fear-driven? When you feel pressure to expand, ask, am I building resilience or escaping anxiety? When you feel tempted to liquidate during downturns, ask, has my long-term thesis changed or just my emotions? Stability is built through repeated moments of emotional regulation. Thai culture's emphasis on emotional composure reflects a broader truth. Sustainable wealth requires inner steadiness. Fear is natural. It is human, but it does not need to control your structure. Financial stability requires designing systems that account for your emotional cycles. This may mean holding higher cash reserves than others. It may mean limiting leverage even when credit is cheap. It may mean accepting slower growth in exchange for better sleep. Fear thrives in thin margins. When your budget is stretched, fear intensifies. When your investments are over-leveraged, fear dominates. When your lifestyle depends on uninterrupted income growth, fear grows louder. Margin quiets fear. Margin creates breathing room. Breathing room restores perspective. Perspective restores discipline. In Thailand's recovery years, many businesses focused not on rapid scaling but on strengthening foundations. They built redundancy into supply chains. They avoided excessive currency exposure. They accepted moderate returns in exchange for lower volatility. They learned that calm structures withstand storms better than ambitious ones. You can apply the same principle personally. Financial stability does not eliminate fear. It reduces its influence. And when fear loses influence, your decisions become less reactive and more deliberate. In the next chapter, we will explore a concept that quietly strengthens both emotional and financial resilience. Margin of safety, the buffer that protects you not just from market swings, but from yourself. Chapter 5. The power of a wide margin of safety. If fear narrows your thinking, margin widens it. Margin of safety is a simple idea. It means building a buffer between you and uncertainty. In investing, it refers to buying assets below their intrinsic value. In business, it means operating with extra capacity. In personal finance, it means not living at the edge of what you can barely afford. But psychologically, margin of safety is something deeper. It is the space that allows you to think clearly. In Thailand, after the shock of 1997, margin became more than a financial tactic. It became a cultural memory. Families that had stretched into foreign-denominated debt without buffers felt the consequences sharply. Businesses that had expanded too quickly discovered how fragile growth can be without reserves. The lesson was not avoid growth. The lesson was build slack. Slack sounds inefficient. It sounds like wasted potential. In hyper-optimized economies, slack feels irresponsible. Why hold extra cash when it could be invested? Why maintain conservative leverage when borrowing can accelerate returns? Because margin protects stability. Consider two households in the United States. Both earn solid incomes. Both have mortgages, car payments, and retirement contributions. One operates with almost no emergency fund, but aggressively invests every spare dollar. The other keeps 6 to 12 months of expenses in liquid reserves and invests steadily but conservatively. On paper, the first household may generate higher long-term returns. But psychologically, it operates under tension. Any disruption, a job loss, medical expense, the economic downturn creates immediate pressure. The second household sacrifices some upside, but it gains emotional resilience. Margin reduces the cost of mistakes. In Thailand's business culture, especially among multi-generational families, expansion often follows cash flow, not projections. Growth funded internally creates fewer shock points. This may slow scale, but it increases survivability. Survivability is underrated. Many financial plans assume uninterrupted progress, but life rarely moves in straight lines. Careers stall, markets decline, health events occur. Global crises emerge without warning. Margin absorbs volatility. It absorbs not only economic shocks, but psychological ones. When you know you have reserves, you interpret downturns differently. Instead of panic, you feel caution. Instead of urgency, you feel patience. This emotional shift is subtle but powerful. Margin changes your posture toward risk. Without margin, risk feels existential. With margin, risk feels manageable. Thai cultural values influenced by the sufficiency economy. Philosophy emphasizes moderation and self-immunity. Self-immunity means preparing for shocks before they arrive. It does not mean predicting them perfectly. It means assuming unpredictability and building accordingly. In personal finance, self-immunity may look like maintaining an emergency fund even when returns are low, avoiding lifestyle inflation when income rises, keeping debt at levels that do not strain your mental health, diversifying income sources gradually rather than dramatically. None of these strategies are flashy, but stability rarely is. In highly visible financial cultures, where net worth and portfolio size are frequently discussed, margin can feel like underperformance. You may compare yourself to peers who are fully invested or aggressively expanding businesses. Comparison erodes margin. When you stretch to match others, you compress your own buffer, and compressed buffers amplify stress. Financial stability often comes from accepting that your structure may look slower from the outside. But slower is not weaker. Slower can be stronger. Margin also protects you from emotional decision-making. When markets decline sharply, investors without reserves may be forced to sell assets to meet expenses. Investors with margin can wait. Waiting preserves optionality. Optionality is psychological power. It is the ability to choose your response rather than react under pressure. In Thailand, after economic crisis, some businesses survived simply because they had not maximized leverage. They had room to adjust. They had time to renegotiate. They had liquidity to endure. Time is a form of margin. If your financial structure gives you time, you gain clarity. If it removes time, you lose perspective. This is why margin of safety is not only a mathematical concept, it is an emotional stabilizer. It allows you to withstand uncertainty without losing alignment with your long-term plan. You do not need extreme wealth to build margin. You need intentionality. That may mean living slightly below your means, even as income rises. It may mean resisting the urge to upgrade every time you receive a raise. It may mean accepting moderate investment returns in exchange for better sleep. The question is not how much risk is acceptable in theory. The question is how much volatility your nervous system can handle without destabilizing your behavior. Margin widens that threshold. Financial stability is rarely destroyed by a single event. It is eroded gradually when buffers shrink and exposure grows. The quiet discipline of building and protecting margin is one of the least glamorous yet most powerful drivers of long-term calm. As we move forward, we will examine another silent force that compresses margin and amplifies instability: comparison. Because in a world of constant visibility, the pressure to match others can quietly undermine even the strongest financial foundations. Chapter 6. Comparison quietly destroys stability. Comparison does not look dangerous. It looks motivating. It looks ambitious. It looks like progress. But comparison quietly erodes financial stability in ways most people never notice. In Thailand, particularly in traditional communities, success has often been measured less by display and more by continuity. A business that survives decades earns respect. A family that avoids scandal and maintains harmony is considered stable. This does not mean status does not exist in Thailand. It certainly does. But in many circles, especially older generations, overt display of wealth is tempered by social norms of modesty. Contrast this with highly visible, comparison-driven economies where financial achievement is constantly broadcast. Homes, cars, vacations, investment gains, all publicly displayed, quantified and ranked. When success becomes visible, comparison becomes unavoidable, and comparison compresses margin. Imagine two professionals earning similar incomes. One sees peers upgrading homes, buying luxury cars, investing aggressively. Subtly, an internal narrative forms. I should be doing more. I'm behind. Maybe I'm too cautious. Nothing in their personal financial plan has changed. Only their reference point has. Reference points are powerful psychological anchors. If your baseline shifts upward, your contentment shifts downward. Comparison rarely inspires calm decisions. It inspires acceleration. Acceleration often increases exposure. In Thailand's post-crisis culture, many families prioritize stability over display. This was partly practical. Capital had been wiped out for many, but it was also psychological. There was a collective understanding that rapid expansion and visible wealth can be fragile. When wealth is quiet, it reduces social pressure. When wealth is loud, it amplifies it. Social comparison intensifies during economic booms. Rising markets create stories of overnight gains. Entrepreneurs scale quickly. Influencers share financial wins. Even conservative investors begin to question their pace. Stability requires resisting that pull. The challenge is not information. It is emotion. When someone you know doubles their investment in a year, you may intellectually understand that cycles fluctuate. But emotionally, it can feel like lost opportunity. Loss aversion does not only apply to losing money. It applies to losing status. Status anxiety drives lifestyle inflation. Lifestyle inflation shrinks margin. Shrinking margin increases fragility, and fragility destabilizes finances long before any crisis occurs. In Bangkok, you may see affluent individuals living relatively modest public lives. A wealthy business owner might drive a standard car, maintain a conservative wardrobe, and invest quietly. This discretion reduces comparison. In contrast, when wealth becomes performance, financial decisions begin to serve audience expectations rather than personal stability. You may upgrade homes not because you need space, but because your peer group has. You may increase leverage not because your plan requires it, but because others appear comfortable doing so. Comparison alters risk perception. If everyone around you is stretching, stretching feels normal. But normal does not equal stable. Comparison also distorts time horizons. Like you may compare your 5-year progress to someone else's 20-year compounding. You may compare your early career salary to someone in a peak earning phase. These mismatches generate unnecessary dissatisfaction. Financial stability thrives on personalized pacing. Comparison disrupts pacing. In Thai culture, extended family networks and community ties sometimes act as stabilizers. Success is embedded in relationships rather than isolated individual milestones. This diffuses competitive pressure. In highly individualistic cultures, identity often intertwines with visible financial achievement. This intensifies comparison. Again, neither system is perfect. Both contain advantages and vulnerabilities. The key is awareness. When you feel pressure to adjust your financial plan, pause and ask, is this aligned with my long-term structure? Or is it aligned with someone else's highlight reel? Financial stability often requires tolerating the discomfort of appearing slower. You may watch others accelerate ahead. You may see peers take risks you decline. You may feel temporarily behind. But stability is measured over decades, not seasons. The quiet psychology behind stability values sustainability over spectacle. It recognizes that public success can mask private fragility. Comparison rarely shows debt levels. It rarely shows sleepless nights. It rarely shows the anxiety behind bold moves. Stability is internal before it is external. If your structure supports your peace, it may not look impressive, but it will feel secure. As we continue, we will explore another misunderstood element of stability, the role of boredom. Because many of the most stable financial lives are built in seasons that feel uneventful, and uneventful can be difficult to tolerate in a culture addicted to momentum. Comparison also distorts your sense of enough. When you constantly measure yourself against others, enough becomes a moving target. A home that once felt spacious now feels modest. A savings rate that once felt disciplined now feels inadequate. A portfolio that once felt reassuring now feels small. This shifting baseline creates chronic dissatisfaction, and chronic dissatisfaction destabilizes behavior. You may take on extra risk not because you need more, but because you feel less. You may stretch financially to maintain an image rather than a margin. Over time, the gap between appearance and resilience widens. Financial stability requires defining enough privately, not according to social media, not according to neighbors, not according to headlines, but according to your own tolerance for uncertainty and your own vision of peace. When enough is clear, comparison loses power. And when comparison loses power, stability strengthens quietly, year after year. Chapter 7. Stability is built in boring seasons. Most financial instability does not begin in crisis. It begins in boredom. Boredom is uncomfortable in a world addicted to movement. Markets must move. Careers must advance. Businesses must scale. Portfolios must grow. Something must always be happening. But stability is often built when nothing dramatic is happening at all. In Thailand, many multi-generational businesses were not built through explosive expansion. They were built through repetition, daily operations, careful reinvestment, conservative growth, long stretches where the numbers were steady but unremarkable. From the outside, this looks ordinary. From the inside, it builds durability. Boring seasons test temperament. When your investments are compounding slowly, you may feel restless. When your savings grow gradually, you may feel impatient. When your career plateaus temporarily, you may feel behind. Restlessness is dangerous. Restlessness pushes you to interfere with systems that are quietly working. In Thailand's recovery, years after 1997, growth returned gradually. It did not surge overnight. Businesses that survived focused on strengthening foundations rather than chasing dramatic gains. They improved supply chains, reduced unnecessary debt, and rebuilt trust. Rebuilding trust is boring work, but trust stabilizes economies and households. In personal finance, boring seasons might look like automatic retirement contributions, regular savings deposits, consistent debt payments, gradual skill development, modest lifestyle upgrades. Nothing headline-worthy. But these routines create compounding. Compounding is psychologically difficult because its early stages feel insignificant. A small portfolio does not inspire excitement. A modest emergency fund does not feel powerful. Yet over decades, these quiet decisions produce resilience. In contrast, dramatic moves often feel meaningful in the moment. A large investment, a risky expansion, a sudden career leap. These events generate stories. Stories feel satisfying. But stability is less about stories and more about structure. Boring seasons reduce emotional volatility. When you accept that growth can be gradual, you reduce pressure to act impulsively. When you embrace repetition, you reduce the temptation to constantly optimize. Optimization is not always improvement. Constantly adjusting your financial plan can introduce fragility. Every new strategy carries unknown risks. Thus, every shift increases exposure to emotional error. Thai cultural patience, shaped partly by agricultural history and partly by Buddhist philosophy, reinforces long-term thinking. Farmers understand seasons. Growth cannot be forced beyond natural cycles. You can water a plant. You cannot command it to grow faster. Financial stability follows similar rhythms. If you try to accelerate compounding aggressively, you often increase volatility. If you accept gradual growth, you allow compounding to operate undisturbed. This requires psychological maturity. You must tolerate the appearance of stagnation. You must tolerate seeing others move faster. You must tolerate quiet. Quiet is uncomfortable in modern finance. News cycles encourage constant reaction. Economic updates, market swings, political shifts. Information never stops. Reacting constantly creates the illusion of control. But reacting constantly often undermines stability. Many of the most stable investors do very little during most years. They rebalance occasionally. They review long-term plans. They maintain discipline. Their restraint rarely makes headlines. But restraint compounds. In Thailand, family businesses that survived multiple generations often shared one trait: they avoided unnecessary drama. They did not reinvent themselves every year. They did not pivot aggressively with every trend. They adjusted thoughtfully. Thoughtfulness thrives in calm periods. Boring seasons also allow emotional recalibration. When markets are quiet and income is steady, you can evaluate your structure objectively. You can ask whether your spending aligns with your values. You can build margin without pressure. If you only adjust during crises, your decisions will be emotional. If you adjust during calm, your decisions will be deliberate. Stability is not forged in panic. It is reinforced in peace. Many people destabilize their finances not because of one catastrophic error, but because they cannot tolerate uneventful progress. They chase stimulation. They seek dramatic growth. They disrupt compounding cycles prematurely. The discipline of doing nothing when nothing needs to be done is underrated. Boring seasons are not empty. They are reinforcing. They strengthen habits. They build margin. They expand time horizons. They reduce emotional reactivity. Over decades, these quiet periods create something powerful: confidence rooted in experience rather than excitement. When you survive multiple uneventful years with steady progress, your trust in your system deepens. That trust becomes psychological capital, and psychological capital is essential during downturns. In the next chapter, we will redefine what financial success truly means. Because if success is measured by visibility and speed, stability will always feel inadequate. But if success is measured by calm, the definition changes entirely. Boring seasons also protect you from identity distortion. When your finances are quiet and steady, there is less temptation to tie your self-worth to performance. You are not constantly celebrating big wins or recovering from dramatic losses. Your sense of competence becomes less dependent on short-term outcomes. This emotional neutrality is stabilizing. In highly volatile financial environments, identity can rise and fall with markets. When investments surge, confidence expands. When they decline, self-doubt follows. Over time, this emotional swing erodes resilience. But during long stretches of steady compounding, you begin to separate who you are from what your portfolio is doing this month. That separation strengthens stability. In Thailand, many long-standing family businesses value continuity over spectacle. The goal is not to dominate headlines, but to sustain operations across generations. That long view reduces emotional attachment to any single year's performance. You can adopt a similar mindset personally. Instead of asking, "How much did I grow this year?" you might ask, "Is my structure stronger than it was last year?" Structure includes savings habits, debt levels, diversification, emotional discipline, time horizon. If those elements improve, even modestly, stability increases. Boring seasons allow incremental strengthening. They also reveal whether your system truly works. If your finances only feel stable during strong markets, your structure may be fragile. If they feel steady even during slow or flat periods, your foundation is likely sound. Stability is rarely exciting in the moment, but over decades, it becomes extraordinary. Because while others cycle through intensity and exhaustion, you quietly accumulate resilience. And resilience, more than speed, determines who remains standing when the next storm inevitably arrives. Chapter 8. Wealth as peace, not status. In many modern financial conversations, wealth is framed as a number: net worth, portfolio size, annual income, valuation. These metrics matter. They are practical, they provide clarity, but they do not automatically provide stability. Because wealth, when defined purely by numbers, easily becomes comparison. And comparison destabilizes peace. In Bangkok, you can encounter a quiet contradiction. There are individuals who control vast businesses yet live with relative modesty. They may not display their success aggressively. They may not constantly expand their lifestyle. Their wealth is visible only if you look closely. This discretion is not universal in Thailand, but it is common enough to notice. Why? Because for many, wealth is not primarily a signal. It is a shield, and a shield against uncertainty, a shield against volatility, a shield against dependence. If wealth functions as protection rather than performance, financial decisions shift. You prioritize durability over display, liquidity over luxury, flexibility over spectacle. When wealth becomes performance, instability often follows. You may increase expenses to match income growth. You may adopt lifestyle commitments that require sustained high earnings. You may take on financial obligations that leave little room for error. In that environment, even high income can feel fragile. The quiet psychology behind stability asks a different question. What is the purpose of your wealth? If the purpose is status, you will always need more. Status is relative. There is always someone ahead. The finish line moves. If the purpose is peace, the target changes. Non-peace requires sufficiency, not superiority. The Thai philosophy of sufficiency economy emphasizes moderation and reasonableness. It does not deny ambition, it does not reject growth, but it places boundaries around desire. Boundaries create stability. Without boundaries, growth becomes compulsion. Compulsion erodes margin. Eroded margin increases anxiety. Wealth as peace means designing your financial life to reduce chronic stress, not maximize visibility. It may mean living below your means, even when you could afford more. It may mean choosing a home that supports flexibility rather than stretching into the largest mortgage approved. It may mean accepting steady, moderate returns rather than chasing volatile gains. From the outside, this can look conservative. From the inside, it feels calm. In many Western economies, success is frequently associated with escalation. Bigger house, faster car, earlier retirement, rapid scaling. Escalation can be rewarding, but it can also create a treadmill. When your identity depends on visible progression, slowing down feels threatening, but slowing down may be stabilizing. Consider two entrepreneurs. One builds rapidly, reinvests aggressively, leverages heavily, and becomes widely recognized. The other grows steadily, maintains strong cash reserves, and reinvests cautiously. Both may succeed financially, but the second entrepreneur may sleep more consistently. Sleep is an underrated metric of wealth. If your financial structure supports restful nights, it is functioning well. If it generates constant vigilance, it may be misaligned. Thai cultural norms around modesty sometimes soften the pressure to display success. But while luxury exists, there is also social respect for humility. This cultural layer reduces the psychological burden of performance. In environments where display is central, resisting it requires conscious choice. Wealth as peace requires internal validation. You must decide that calm matters more than applause. You must define enough privately. This does not mean avoiding ambition. It means aligning ambition with emotional capacity. If rapid growth excites you but destabilizes your mental health, it may not be sustainable. If moderate growth feels steady and aligned, it may compound more effectively over decades. Peace is not passive. It is structured. It is built through maintaining margin, managing debt thoughtfully, diversifying income, avoiding unnecessary comparison, accepting gradual compounding. Peace also requires accepting uncertainty. No financial structure eliminates risk entirely, but some structures amplify stress while others absorb it. When wealth is designed as a stabilizer rather than a spotlight, its psychological function transforms. It becomes a foundation rather than a performance. In Thailand's long-view business families, wealth often serves continuity, supporting future generations, maintaining operations, sustaining relationships. Continuity prioritizes peace. Continuity values resilience over drama. The quiet psychology behind financial stability ultimately reframes the question. Instead of asking, "How much can I accumulate?" it asks, "How stable can I remain?" If wealth increases but anxiety rises with it, stability has not improved. If wealth grows gradually while anxiety decreases, something more meaningful is happening. Wealth as peace may not impress strangers, but it will strengthen you. And over decades, strength, not spectacle, determines who remains steady when cycles inevitably turn. In the conclusion, we will bring these threads together and clarify what financial stability truly represents. Not as a number, but as a relationship with uncertainty that you consciously design. There is another quiet shift that happens when wealth is defined as peace rather than status. Your decisions become less reactive to external noise. When markets surge, you do not feel compelled to increase exposure simply to keep up appearances. When markets decline, you do not feel ashamed of temporary setbacks. Your sense of financial identity becomes less fragile. Fragility often comes from tying self-worth to financial momentum. If your confidence rises only when your assets rise, stability will always feel temporary. If your peace depends on constant upward movement, every plateau will feel like failure. But when wealth is structured to support calm, adequate savings, manageable obligations, diversified income, and realistic expectations, momentum becomes less emotionally charged. You begin to see financial growth as a long rhythm rather than a series of dramatic spikes. In Thailand's business culture, particularly among older generations, the idea of preserving harmony often extends into financial choices. Decisions are evaluated not only for profit potential, but for how they affect relationships, continuity, and long-term stability. This broader lens reduces impulsivity. You can apply that same principle personally. Before making a significant financial move, ask, will this increase my long-term calm, or will it increase my long-term pressure? Will this expand my flexibility or compress my margin? Peace is not the absence of ambition. It is ambition placed within boundaries that protect your mental and financial resilience. And over decades, that kind of ambition quietly outlasts louder forms of success. Financial stability is often described as a destination, a number in an account, a paid-off mortgage, a certain level of passive income, a retirement milestone. But after everything we've explored, the Thai experience of crisis and recovery, the philosophy of sufficiency, the discipline of Jai Yen, the power of margin, the danger of comparison, the patience of boring seasons, something deeper becomes clear. Stability is not a destination, it is a relationship. Specifically, it is your relationship with uncertainty. Uncertainty never disappears. Not in Thailand, not in the United States, not in any economy. Currencies fluctuate, markets cycle, industries transform, technology disrupts, health shifts, politics evolves. No spreadsheet eliminates uncertainty, but your structure and your psychology determine how you experience it. In 1997, Thailand learned painfully that rapid expansion without resilience creates fragility. Growth built on thin margins collapses under pressure, but the years that followed showed something equally important. Calm rebuilding is possible. Moderation is not weakness. Patience is not passivity. Margin is not inefficiency. They are stabilizers. Throughout this audiobook, we have not searched for shortcuts. We have not promised extraordinary returns or early escape. Instead, we have examined something quieter. Why do some people remain steady while others oscillate between optimism and panic? Why do two households with similar incomes experience vastly different levels of stress? Why do some business families survive generations while others rise and fall dramatically? The answer consistently returns to psychology. Intelligence helps. As income helps, strategy helps, but temperament sustains. Stability begins when you recognize that your financial life is shaped by inherited narratives, family experiences, cultural memory, national crises, social comparison. When you become aware of those influences, you gain choice. You can choose moderation even when excess is celebrated. You can choose margin even when leverage is cheap. You can choose patience even when speed is admired. You can choose enough even when more is available. This is not anti-growth, it is anti-fragility. Wealth, when designed as performance, demands constant validation. It pressures you to keep escalating. It ties identity to momentum. Wealth, when designed as peace, creates flexibility. It gives you room to breathe. It allows you to navigate cycles without redefining your worth each quarter. Now, the Thai philosophy of sufficiency economy offers a simple but powerful insight. Build resilience before maximizing expansion. Protect the foundation before adding flaws. That lesson transcends geography. Financial stability is not about avoiding risk entirely. It is about taking risks your nervous system can tolerate. It is about structuring obligations that do not trap you. It is about defining success in ways that support sleep rather than applause. Sleep is a form of wealth. Calm is a form of wealth. Optionality, the ability to choose rather than react, is a form of wealth. When you build margin, you increase optionality. When you reduce comparison, you increase contentment. When you strengthen temperament, you increase durability. And durability compounds. There will always be faster strategies. There will always be higher return opportunities. There will always be people who appear to move ahead more quickly. But speed is visible. Stability is felt. Speed impresses others. Stability protects you. As you reflect on your own financial structure, consider not just your returns, but your reactions. When markets fluctuate, do you remain steady? When income shifts, do you have buffer? When opportunities arise, do you evaluate them calmly or urgently? These questions reveal more about your stability than any single number. Money does not eliminate uncertainty. It changes how you engage with it. And the quiet psychology behind financial stability suggests that the goal is not to remove uncertainty, but to build a structure that allows you to coexist with it calmly. In the end, financial stability is less about accumulation and more about alignment. Alignment between income and lifestyle, between risk and temperament, between ambition and resilience, between growth and margin. When those elements align, wealth becomes steadier. Not louder, not flashier, but steadier. And steadiness, sustained over decades, becomes something powerful. It becomes freedom, not the dramatic kind that demands attention, but the quiet kind that supports your choices, your relationships, and your peace of mind. That is the kind of wealth that lasts. And it is built not through urgency, but through awareness, discipline, and calm repetition over time.